We've all had somebody die. Whether they be close to us or not, we've all had somebody die in our lives. Might be by illness, or by old age, by murder, or by other unexplainable, supernatural causes. And we've almost all heard the words, "I'll always be with you." Now, we all know what they mean, but to be honest, death is final. Or is it? This is number 13. It's called "I'll Always Be With You." When my mother left this life, she told me something before she died. She said, "I'll always be with you." Now, even as a child, of course, I knew what she meant. Anybody knows what they mean. My mother meant something totally different. About 2 weeks after her death, I was sent to my aunt and uncle's house until until my grandparents could come get me from Ohio. My Aunt Jessica and Uncle John were far from parental figures, and their beat-up old home in Tulsa, Oklahoma was no place to raise a child. My aunt and uncle also really liked to party. Nearly every night, they would host a party with their alcoholic friends. So sleep was usually hard to come by. The only rest that I ever had was whenever they had already passed out drunk and were too far gone to do anything to wake me up. One night I had been lying down when the thought of my mother popped into my head. Instantly, my eyes started to tear up, as any child would cry about their mother's death just 2 weeks prior. From the darkness of my room, I could have sworn I heard a voice say, "Don't cry." I would have panicked, but I knew better. And the voice was very soothing. When I didn't hear the noise again, I looked around to try and find the source. When I found none, I went back to sleep. I was awoken by a sound in my room just 2 hours later. This time, I shot out of bed, as something was already instantly wrong. My TV and lamp were both off, despite me having left them on when I went to bed. I knew it couldn't have been my aunt or uncle or any of their friends, 'cause they were already passed out drunk and no noise resonated through the house, so I knew they couldn't do anything. I looked around the room and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the darkest corner of my room, were a pair of dark amber eyes. They just stared at me for what felt like hours, and I stared back. They never moved, and I never moved, until I could feel myself drifting off into the non-existent world of sleep. I was awoken one final time that night, this time to a blood-curdling scream. I darted out of the room. The noise had come from my aunt and uncle's room, so I rushed into the room, only to find nothing in the darkest room in the house except for a pair of dark yellow eyes. The room was shrouded in total darkness, no light at all, and my aunt and uncle were nowhere to be seen. I stared at the pair of yellow eyes, and they spoke in a bone-chilling voice. It said, They can never take you away from me. It was absolutely terrifying. So I ran to my neighbor's house. When I called the police and they rushed over, they found nothing. No sign of a break-in, and no sign of my aunt and uncle. I still don't know what happened that night, but I do know this. Every person who is to be my next parental guardian mysteriously goes missing. No trace of them is ever found. I never saw those amber eyes again, but I did hear the voice that spoke from them last night. It whispered to me,